Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dr. Galey Colosimo, principal of Juan Diego, and welcome to the second episode this year of the weekly Juan Diego. And I have with me today two teachers who are new to Juan Diego. On my left is Zae Karee. I always want to say Drew Carey, but it's not Drew Carey, it's Zae Karee. And on my right is Ashton Allen. And I always want to say Austin Powers, so it's not Austin Powers, it's Ashton Allen.
It's Ashton. It's Ashton.
I say it. So it's Ashton Powers.
It's Powers actually was my last name, and then I got confused.
You had to change it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of a rough start. Ashton, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you come from, and what did you do, and why are you here?
So I grew up here in Utah, Pleasant Grove, Utah, just down south. I've spent most of my life learning music, learning percussion specifically, and went to the University of Utah, studied percussion there under Dr. Salmons. And then I spent a bunch of that time while I was at school teaching after-school bands, percussion programs.
Were you in band at the University of Utah?
Oh yeah. Marched, played with them a bunch. Got to spend some time at the Rose Bowl, twice actually.
We lost both games.
Yes.
But it was fun.
Yeah, I try to not relive that part. Everything else about it was great.
The final score.
Yeah.
So that's good.
But and then so I spent some time.
Band like 5 years or something.
Yep. 5 years in the band.
And then what do you do at Juan Diego? What's your role at Juan Diego?
Yeah, so here I teach percussion and I do auditorium management. So with that, I get to show kids how to hit stuff, and then I show how to shine light on that thing.
So when did the word percussion come in? Because I think most people just say the drums, but more like technical term is percussion. And why is that? What is it? It's broader, right? What are the instruments that percussion?
Yeah, so percussion, so you always think of the drum set. Everyone's like, oh, you play the drum set. And then you also have, we have things called marimbas, xylophones, vibraphones, which are like giant pianos that you just hit with mallets instead. And then you have other, what we call auxiliary percussion, because they're not main instruments, but they're stuff that you would play with in orchestra, where you have your bass drums, which are like just giant round drums that make a big boomy sound. You have your gongs, and everyone kind of knows what a gong is. You hit it, and it's got that really cool sound to it. And then you have, triangles. Everyone knows a triangle. You got that dinner bell. So percussion's just basically, it talks about anything.
All of the various noises that an orchestra or band would make.
Yep.
I mean, people think of drums, but it's much bigger than drums, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So like the xylophone. What is a xylophone?
Yeah, so a xylophone is, again, it's a keyboard that is made out of normally a harder plastic or a wood that has a really high, bright sound. It's shaped like, its keys are shaped like a piano, and you play it, you can use 2 mallets, you can use 4 where you have 2 each hand. Yeah. And they use, traditionally it started as a backup for orchestras where they would use it to copy woodwind lines, like your flutes or your clarinets. And then it actually became a household instrument for a while where everyone wanted to learn the xylophone because it was smaller, it was easy to use, you could, learn all your favorite folk song tunes on it, different what we call rags, which is just fast tunes. And then eventually the piano became a more popular household instrument.
Well, Ashton, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to have you here at Juan Diego.
Oh, it's great to be here.
So then Zae is to my left, and you have an interesting story because you actually started as a replacement last spring, and then you came on full-time this year. So talk a little bit about what you teach and what your passion is for teaching.
Sure. I teach ceramics. I started actually when I was 15, so right when these kids would be starting. And I apprenticed for a guy in Kaysville and moved on to get my degree at USU. And I had a huge passion for teaching since I was very young. I remember in 2nd grade, I said, I'm gonna be an art teacher when I grow up. And I really just went with that for my entire life. I taught art classes in my backyard all the way up until now I'm a high school teacher. Between graduating and now here at JD, I helped set up multiple studios in the Valley and I worked for the distributor, so I kind of have my hand all over in the ceramic world, and I also emerged as an artist myself. So I'm very much in the world of ceramics and want
So
those.
you've been commissioned to do artwork that's like you personally provide, sell, and don't necessarily make a living, but you get compensated.
But we'll hope that we can make a living
One
on
day,
it
yeah,
someday.
you
Yeah,
can, yeah.
got to start small and
What
move to
kind of
big stuff.
ceramics?
If you know ceramics,
You do
it's
pottery for,
it's slip cast and then it's airbrushed, and I put like textural glazes on it. So if you're a nerd about glazes and ceramics, you can look me up. I'm probably around.
yeah.
But
And so you do installations, or do you do it for things like the farmer's market where people want like a
I've tried the
mold or
farmer's market. Is not my forte. I probably could be successful in it, but I'm actually trying to move towards installation pieces. So I would have like, for example, I have a piece in a gallery right now called a spike wall, and they're individual spikes installed into the wall, and it could take over the whole wall if you wanted, or a bubble wall. Yeah. So I'm kind of moving more in that direction personally.
Yeah, more artistic ceramics rather than functional.
Exactly,
ceramics.
exactly.
I say that right? Artistic,
Yeah,
functional.
yeah.
So
And then
what room are we in right now?
we are
Talking about-
in the ceramics room, and it has been through a journey. It has definitely been through a journey. Right now behind us we can see some of the work they've been creating this last quarter. They learned how to do coil pots, soft slab, dishware, and I think some pinch pots are back there. They took their pinch pot techniques and they learned how to do little pinch pumpkins. So during lunch they come in, they make little pinch pumpkins. And it's been interesting. I've been talking to them about kind of their favorite projects, because for their final they get to pick an artist and their technique and then mimic that technique. And it's been interesting to hear like, well, I really liked the coil pot, or I really like the soft slab, or I'm gonna do mugs because that was easy, or I hate the clay, but I know how to use the underglaze because I like painting. So
how does a student move, or anyone move, from being, okay, so you're in a ceramics class and you're doing all those like functional things. How do they move to like being like a sculpture of like statues and stuff that you have, you know,
for sure,
in a garden or like in a museum? It's
a
big step, obviously, but is that how you start?
So I like to teach them that you have to know the rules to break the rules. So a lot of kids, they walk into the class and they're like, oh, I get to use clay and I get to do whatever I want. And I think what's really important for any artist, and really anyone that's trying to move into a profession, is you got to know the rules to break the rules. And some of those rules are the principles and elements of design. They're like the techniques, the basic techniques. So for example, in intro, you're going to learn pinch, coil, soft slab, hard slab, and then how to throw basic wheel forms. And then once you have mastered those techniques, then you can take it and you can break those rules, and you can take it into a whole nother sphere, literally.
Exactly.
And then you can bring concepts behind those works. So they're not only just like, this is a mug, but the mug represents A, B, C,
It's
D.
not just literal.
Exactly.
It can be metaphorical.
And so that's how they, like, from intro to intermediate, they're kind of practicing those fundamentals that are so important to artistry. And then in advanced and AP, they get to practice being those creative, almost adults that they are,
So
and
they know
using
the
those
rules,
rules.
and now they can kind of expand.
And then they
is
have
that
to prove that,
similar to
right?
What you do with
Yeah.
So like you've got percussion, and so Zae's talking about like, okay, there's the basics of ceramics and sculpturing that you have to learn in order then to be a creative artist. Now, with percussion, does percussion as a basic art form morph sometime? Like, would that be morphing into like jazz or
Oh, absolutely.
creative?
Well,
So is it similar to what Zae is saying?
yeah, because I always tell kids everyone's got their own voice, and using percussion music, and you could say this about any art form, is as you learn those basics, you begin to be able to speak with your voice using a different language. So I think of percussion as the language of percussion, or that expression. Because instruments won't inherently make noise. They create noise when we use them. And so I am always telling kids, be like, because they'll get mad at me. They'll be like, why are we spending so much time on the basics? Like, why are we doing the boring stuff?
Probably similar to you.
Yeah.
It was like, we're
Yeah.
tired of doing just
Why
the
are we
basics.
doing coil pods?
Right.
Well,
Yeah, so, but you have to
Important.
you have to go through that process in
Yeah.
order to then have the ability to step up and be a more creative artist.
Well, and then that becomes the fun part, because you start to see the kids that get it, they start to find out, oh, I do have this like uniqueness to myself, where then I can become a better jazz musician. I can write my own music, or I understand where I belong in this ensemble.
So if they don't have those basics, what tends to happen as they move up through a program?
Well, they're going to struggle through that program. They're likely not going to be able to comprehend the next level of things that they need to do. And I try not to dwell on those that are struggling and I don't know. Sometimes I can get sad about it because it's really up to their effort, right? I think that art teachers
But it
of
takes
all...
a discipline. So
Yes.
everyone thinks about art as a creative enterprise,
Yes.
but if you don't, in either field, if you don't have the discipline to know the basics, then you never get to a point
In
where
any
you have-
field.
in anything.
In anything.
Right? So
And that's
it's the
something we
same.
talk about a lot in my class is like, maybe you don't want to be in art class right now, but you're learning how to be persistent and learn something new. Something I took away from college was learning how to learn, and that's what they're doing in my class. So whether they go off and be artists or ceramicists or whatever they choose to be, they're going to learn how to figure out what we're really big is learning within limitations, how to take whatever you have to deal with and be creative problem solvers within that. So I talked about like when you're a lawyer, you have to work within the laws of the land. When you're a doctor, you have to work within the laws of science. And so how are you taking those limitations and being creative problem solvers with that?
And it's the same with percussion.
Oh yeah,
Very
absolutely.
much the same thing.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, I want to thank you for coming. We're obviously our performing arts and our visual arts programs are in great shape with the two of you here. This is Zae Karee, our first-year teacher in ceramics. Not exactly first-year teacher, and then this is Ashton Allen, our first-year teacher in percussion. So that's it for the second edition of the Weekly Juan Diego. Thanks for watching.